Hello,
Hello, Ian, is that you?
yes?
Okay, thank you. We're
Yeah.
just about to begin now.
I didn't know if you were me at 1 o'clock today or 1 o'clock tomorrow.
No, today's good.
Sure. I just lost 9 minutes of sunshine.
Oh, welcome, everyone. It is 1:05, let's see here, 1:06. I call the meeting to order. We'll start with the territorial acknowledgement. We would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in the Robinson Huron territory, treaty territory, and that the land on which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, specifically the Garden River and the Bechuana First Nations, as well as the Métis people. Roll call. Ian is here. Eva? Eva, are you on?
Nobody else on the call.
Okay. Marchie's here, Sonny is here. Chief Stevenson. Deputy Duguay, Sarah. Lisa, Lincoln. Tom is here as well. And Mr. Bolduc, yes. Phoebe. And who else did I miss?
I'm hiding.
And yes, okay. I think we didn't miss anybody. Welcome, Brian, James. Any conflicts of interest to declare? Questions and information arising out of the minutes and not otherwise on the agenda? Seeing none, the adoption of the minutes, I need a mover and a seconder, moved by Marchie, seconded by Sunny, thank you. Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting as presented be hereby approved, all in favor, approved. A motion to accept the agenda, moved by Sunny and Marchie. Resolved that the agenda of the regular meeting as presented be hereby approved, all in favor, approved. Okay, let us begin with the IPV pilot project and Deputy Duguay. Are you on for this?
I am, sir. I'm Inspector Rains, who is kind of managing the project, is out of town. So myself, I'm sitting in and doing a presentation at the request of the chief, so.
Thank you.
This will be kind of a big picture overview. We're not quite a month into the project at this point. So we just want to give you kind of what the rationale for the project was and kind of where we stand as far as the stats go. So, obviously the rationale. We conducted a review of the tragedy that took place in our community last October. Identify a need to create an opportunity where the police can follow up some of the IPV victims, ensure their safety. We are targeting IPV victims who are where there are no charges laid. So we're actually following up on the calls where there weren't charges to ensure that an opportunity is given to the victim if they want to further disclose. We didn't feel comfortable at the time of the call. So the rationale behind that, if the charges are laid, it's all, we already have a process for that. If there weren't charges, then we follow up on those calls. As I said, provide some opportunity for disclosing further information about historical, which is what we're finding in our initial stages of the. They're not events that happened the day before, but often will be a year ago and are now bringing those forward. Also, to connect them with the services and ensure that there's a safety plan in place if they need a safety plan. Okay. So the process is every day we review all the calls from the day before on the in the morning, our IPV unit, as well as our staff sergeants from CIB, go through all the calls, checking any call that may have a IPV issue with it. That is then given to an officer to conduct follow-up. They call those individuals. Often these are property remove call, custody dispute calls, or somebody to be removed from a house call. So no charges laid, IPV, they're breaking up. So we're finding that an opportunity then presents itself the following day when the individuals are separated for some possible disclosures of actual partner violence. So just to maintain some consistency, we created
I just have a
Yeah.
question.
Yes, sir.
Where it says the safety plan.
yes.
If you can go in detail a little bit of what that constitutes, like what would go in there?
Sure, depending on the circumstances, safety plans are like change the locks if you've recently broken up with an individual. Obviously cameras, ensuring you have a charged cell phone. Make sure you have contact people that are on your speed dial from your home phone. Do check-ins with other family members. Sometimes it's simply improve lighting around the property. And then obviously putting them in contact with some of those victim services so that emotional support can be there for them as well. Have a room in your home that has a lock in it, depending on the level of circumstance. Often it's simply doing the simple things like changing locks and make sure that you have, people know what you're going through so that if you call for assistance or you call the police, we're aware of the kind of the address and the circumstances around it. So.
Okay, and if something deviates from the safety plan, what would happen?
So potentially, the safety plan is for the person to protect themselves. So we create opportunities for you within your own home or within your family. Oh, the other big thing is notifying your family that this is going on so that they are aware of and they can do check-ins and be part of that plan as well. Obviously, if there's conditions in place and somebody were to stop by the house, but they're not supposed to be there, that's called the police and that's an arrest, if there's a breach of condition. The safety plan is to put you in the safest place possible in your own home or in your own environment.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
No worries. So we want to create some consistency with how we're making this approach, so that if there's an officer is doing it on Monday, Tuesday, and there's a different officer doing it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're getting trying to elicit the same information, making sure the individuals we're contacting are getting the same information for us. So basically a quick checklist gets completed. Oftentimes, if the answer is simply nope, nothing more to report, then we will scan this and add it to the original recurrence so that we can, in the future, can say, yes, we did do that follow-up. And we are also maintaining a spreadsheet for staff persons. I think the chief may want to speak to some of that correlation, but I'll show you the spreadsheet originally. So that once again, we're almost 22 days into it now. This was as of this morning, sir. So we've had 93 follow-up calls and 6 have resulted in further police action. So resulted in a new domestic investigation being started. I believe one of those were from a occurrence that occurred outside the jurisdiction of Sault Ste., but we did the investigation because the individuals are living here now. Obviously through this pilot project, we're hoping to take from the data and analyze some of the calls that are potentially leading to some of these callbacks or further charges so we can pay more attention, do additional training for those types of calls. We also want to ensure that we are able to use this information to improve our training for our dispatchers as well as our officers. So, sir, do you want to speak to some of the analytics of the?
Yeah, just at a high level, the intent of this again is as the deputy has said, is to make sure that even though at the time of the call, the person may not have alluded to these situations, but maybe a day or two later, they're in a different frame of mind, different situation. And as the deputy showed you, everyone gets the same questions, but the results are, to me, remarkable because that's 6 situations where one of these victims would not have been safe and disclosed further information that caused a police investigation. So I'm very comfortable with where we're going because to me, it's an added measure in this agency. And I know other agencies are considering it across the province once we started it, to look at, maybe there's better ways we can approach, maybe there's something more we can do to stop or at least investigate further IPV in our community. So, having said that, we have added our analytical systems to this information. So what we want to know is, of all the different calls that we went to that were non-arrest situations, which one of those is most highly correlated with either a follow-up police investigation and or an actual charge? Because it'll start to show which investigations have the potential to reveal this stuff more than it did before. And we can put more effort into that, which means you're protecting more victims in your community. So with added analytics to this, as well as the process being very clean, the deputy has outlined the different places, whether it's property removal, anything that could potentially involve an IPV situation, we're phoning you back. And I want to be very clear for our members, this is not an audit, this is not checking our people, this is asking the victim at a different time and place, is there anything else we can do for you? Really, that's what it is. And he has a very well-structured question, so everybody gets the same. So at the end of the day, we'll continue, and we've added it to your monthly reporting stats, whether IPVs have went down or up over the year comparators or month to month. And we're also adding this as a regular sort of update to show you where we are. Where this came from has to be said. I went to a meeting of IPV with Staff Sergeant Monto, and a lot of the victims groups were there. And the question was, well, what can the police do differently? And this sort of idea came out of that group, and we kicked it around, and I can tell you that others are interested in it in terms of adding an extra piece of safety to our people in our community.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Sunny?
I think you answered my first question is where did this come from? Was it someone else or was it innovated here? Sounds like you guys innovated it with other groups.
Yeah, you know, it's Sonny, great question. It came out of, and actually Angela Caputo was there. She was sitting next to me, and we all sort of just talked about it and sort of, well, maybe I could do this. And I brought it back with our executive and I said, we have to do something. Because what's working isn't right. We lost several lives that day. I'm not saying whether this could have prevented it or not. What I am saying is we can do more.
So it sounds like this is the only service in Ontario right now doing this, or this particular one.
There's certainly others that are considering it.
Right. 22 days, of course, is not enough time to measure. However, quickly, it's about 6.5% of the 93 cases have, that's not insignificant.
Right.
That's
One isn't.
right. I think this
Right.
is very, very innovative. I think it's obviously yielding good results. I think there's an opportunity to partner with more local agencies, and I think there's probably incumbent upon you folks probably soon to share that across the province. I think that's gonna be great.
Yeah.
That's,
I have shared it at small, mid-sized chiefs meetings, and there was a significant interest.
yeah,
there.
that's not insignificant.
And to that, those, I think just the, public awareness now of how serious IPV incidents can be, are causing people to maybe rethink their situations going. I don't know that I can now, this couldn't happen to me now, right? So, and those 6 kind of happened well within the first few weeks, like the first part of it. But I think there is just more awareness out there, and this is giving, like I said, another opportunity to feel comfortable to bring information forward if they have information to bring forward. So.
I think it's an excellent start to a very major concern that we have, not only in Sault Ste. Marie, but across the country. And I think it's great that our local police services has quickly introduced it. And I think it's work well done. Well done, Chief. Well
Thank you.
done.
Martin, Joe? No? Any other questions or comments?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for all the work that goes into this. Inspector Volga, recruitment.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know if he was playing a video first or,
Oh, yeah, do you want to say that?
what's that?
Play that?
I'm sorry, I didn't know if that was on the agenda. or
So
not.
I'll just introduce it. We want to show you what we're doing. As you know, in the province, it's extremely difficult to recruit special constables, civilians, and uniform officers to any community. The pool of, potential candidates is significantly smaller than it ever has been in our history, certainly in my 38 years. So, what we wanted to present to you today was an incredible, video, and it's online already. But I think it's important to show, what a beautiful community we have, what the opportunities are for people that come here, the quality of life that we have. And I just thought it was a great representation of the Sioux. So we thought we'd play the 5 minute for you. And then Ben's gonna go through a couple of incentives we're considering to bring more officers, to Sault Ste. Marie, including special constables, civilians, and dispatchers. Go ahead.
Centrally located in Ontario, poised in the middle of the magnificent Great Lakes, and strategically placed in the center of North America, Sault Ste. Marie is the original meeting grounds of the Batchewana and Anishinaabe people in the heart of the Great Lakes, and has always been a place where people come to visit. The men and women of the Sault Ste. Marie Police Service protects the town. And today, they're hiring.
Did we lose the audio?
No.
Yeah, I'm not hearing it either yet.
So the basic path would become a police officer. There's many ways to do it. You can go and get trained with the armed forces. You can become special ops. You can go to the arts. You can go straight to college. You can come right out of high school.
Actually, I got interested in the job when I was in high school. There was a presentation by the city police. Right away, I thought I wanted to do that when I grew up, and I pursued it.
I love the camaraderie of the shift. Like I love working on the shift with people, and you're put on a platoon and you're with those people all the time. I'm a team player, so if you do like any type of team environment, policing's for you.
With being with a smaller police service, you get to meet everyone and you get to build these great bonds and you get to know everyone. You're not just interacting with the people that are just on your platoon, you interact with everyone at the service.
Well, specifically with the team that I'm on right now, we respond to high risk calls. There's certain manual calls and usually weapons are involved.
It takes a special person to do this job, but I feel like it takes the best kind of person to do this job.
We have been able to recruit quite a few experienced officers from other services that have been across the province. They come with a wealth of knowledge and experience in policing. So it's not just new recruits we're looking for, we're also looking for experienced officers.
And everyone's always learning, right? Like every year we're switching in a different position, give somebody that might have just started on patrol, someone that came from a different unit, now they're working on the road, someone that's been on the road with the CID, like we're all helping each other.
We have still some officers that are excellent training officers, and they're gonna give you the skills that you need to succeed in the job here. As well with that, they'll be able to start transitioning people, especially lead on, say you wanna be a detective, you wanna go into our crime suppression unit. We have our emergency service unit, which are actively, we have K9, we have many options, and different things that you can do.
It's a tight-knit group here. We all work together to accomplish the end goal.
My partner and I always wanted to move up north. So we were looking into Sault Ste. Marie, watched a couple of YouTube videos, and we saw that it was a beautiful city. It's, surrounded by water.
If you're an avid outdoors person, there's several different amenities around here with the Great Lakes, hunting, fishing, any outdoor activities.
That wasn't me.
As well, we a bit more culturally diverse here, which is excellent. We're getting our restaurant scene for people that are a bit more foodies and enjoy that sort of thing. As well, we're using bike lanes. We have bike trails here. If you're a cyclist or someone that enjoys jogging.
It's a smaller community, so it's not that like hustle and bustle, like where you just feel like that city life is like draining you. Like I'm able to get to A and B, 10 minutes, get all my stuff done.
You get to know the people more, you get to know the people that own businesses more, you get to learn people's names, you get to build a rapport with people, you can build a trust with people.
You need to be a very, self-confident person, be confident in your abilities. You need to be able to, help people, maybe not necessarily, arresting them, but be able to talk to someone, be able to understand someone.
People here want you to succeed, and maybe it's that close knit, it's that smaller community, like, we want each other to succeed.
Sault Ste. Marie Police Service is an exciting place to work. We offer a variety of career opportunities. We're looking for motivated individuals that want to make a difference in their community. We believe in equity, diversity, and inclusion. Our service needs to be representative of the community. To be part of our exciting team, go to SoutPolice.ca.
Very good.
Who wants to join?
So I wanted you to see that. I think it's an incredible marketing for policing, but for this city and the people in it. So, yeah, kudos to Ben and his team that went through many, many revisions of this, trust me, about how we presented it and making sure that it was reflective of our community. So Ben's gonna go through a couple of ideas we've been considering that have been considered by other services like ours in terms of attracting more people, and I'll let you go ahead, Ben.
Thank you. Yeah, obviously across the province, nationwide policing, we're all hurting for numbers, hurting for recruits. We're just trying to stay competitive and keep up, especially with our Southern Ontario market. Obviously I have to show to Sergeant McFarland, he's the head of our recruiting office. He does an amazing job getting people here. He's currently down in Toronto right now at a job fair. And some of us will speak to what he's finding out when he goes to these events. So the first thing I want to talk about is moving expenses. There are a couple other services that are doing this. So this is more for our experienced officers. Pay their moving expenses up to $10,000 to move to Sault Ste. Marie. We've done a lot for incentivizing experienced officers coming here, moving them up to matching the current rank they're at when they come here as far as a first-class constable, letting them accrue their vacation time. And that seemed to succeed. And over the last couple of years, we've had a little bit of a lull in getting experienced officers. So we're hoping that might add a little value to them coming here. Obviously, we're all aware when they come here, they bring a lot of value with them. They're already trained up. A lot of them have detective experience, maybe tactical, whatever specialties they might bring with them. So that's thousands of dollars that we don't have to invest in them once they get here. So we're hoping this might be something that's a little extra to draw them. Yes, sir.
Just a question. You're gonna help them pay for the moving expenses. Is there a specific amount of time they have to be on the force, or does that money is returned?
Oh, that's a good question.
You know,
Like as far as to come here. Yeah, and that's what we discussed. Yeah, so we discussed that. Actually, I should have put that on there. Sorry, I was talking to Sergeant McFarland about that because some of the services offered for new recruits moving expenses, they moved into their community, they graduated OPC and then went somewhere else. So a couple places got burned. So this would be more for experienced officers, but yeah, I think we want to have them sign a minimum 3 to 5 years or else they'd have to reimburse those moving fees. But fair question. Yeah, sorry. We did discuss that, but I forgot to put it on there. In our historically here, when people come here, they don't tend to leave, but it is a good safeguard though for that, just in case. This next item, this is just something we're snowballing, just trying to get our members more actively involved in recruiting with us, right? Like we have a recruiting unit, but it takes everybody to be active recruiters to get the best people. So this is almost like it is a cash incentive to get people to do it. We have people who do it on their own voluntarily, but I think this might get every member to think a little more outside the box. Unfortunately, sometimes money is a bit of a driver for people. So, and this is more to attract maybe those second career type people, right? Maybe they're working at Algoma Steel or some other kind of facility. And, you know, we all have friends that are in these different industries. So now that officer or one of our members talks to somebody, they may bring them into our service, appointment with our recruiting office. And if that person ends up being a successful candidate and we hire them on, that could be an incentive that we give to that member, that they successfully brought someone into our service. And I think that's going to go a long way because anybody who brings someone in, we want to bring in good people. So if I'm bringing somebody in, I want to make sure they're a good person that everybody's going to work with. So it's just another incentive to get people more attracted into policing because there's some people who have careers, they don't think about policing. So just plants that in the mind of our members. Hey, when you're at a dinner party or somewhere, hey, I got to start throwing this out there to people. This is a great career and this is a good option for them. There is one, I was trying to get Sergeant McFarland. We did hear there was someone else who was doing this. I don't know which service it is yet. We're trying to lock that down. That's sort of where we got the idea from.
I believe it was Timmons was doing it.
Timmons is doing that? Okay. Timmons doing a lot of cash. Yeah, they're really trying. And the third one here, and this is a really big one. We're trying to attract people, you know, sometimes it's easier to attract people to the community, but that's a limited market. We want to attract people from outside of our community, you know, Southern Ontario. And a lot of them never been to Sault Ste. Marie, right? They picture us being in the middle of nowhere with nothing to do. So sometimes the hook is just getting them here. So I know Sergeant McFarland right now, he's in Toronto. He talks to people, either they can't afford to come here because they're just out of school, you know, they don't have a lot of income coming in. So it's a cost for them to come here to go through our process. So one of the things we're recommending is we have we're dealing with the Delta, I believe, and they've been giving us $130 a night for accommodations. So an example of this is we had an applicant from Windsor come here. They drove overnight, did our fitness test in the morning, did an interview, and then drove right back to Windsor. It's a safety concern for them. They couldn't really, have the funds to get a hotel, and they're not going to bring their best performance to us when it comes to their fitness and interview if they've been driving all night. So it's sort of a nice touch. Hey, we're going to take care of you while you're here. We'll take care of your accommodations. We'll take care of a meal or two and pay for your gas to get here. I look at it almost like recruiting, you know, Division I athletes. We want the best, so we want to go out and get them here and incentivize getting here. Usually once they get into our community, they love it. They see, wow, this isn't the middle of nowhere. You have a lot to do and there's a lot to offer. And we've seen that with a couple people who've never been here before. And they're like, I love Sault Ste. Marie. And you know, once they're here, we feel like we have our hooks in them. So just another obstacle for them to get over to get here. And then the last thing is our Ontario Association Chiefs Police Certificate. This is something that every applicant has to do. It's $250, which, you know, you look at face value, it's not a lot of money, but again, a lot of them are students, a lot of them don't have a lot of money behind them. So if they're successful in our process and we hire them, reimburse them for that $250 that they spent on that certificate. So that certificate is basically an aptitude test and general questions that gives them the go ahead to apply at police services. So it's just a few small things, but I think it would really, I sort of put Blue Chip Recruit there. Lincoln was making fun of me because that's an old movie, Blue Chips, about college basketball athletes with Nick Nolte. But anyway, these are your high-end recruits. So Niagara College, they have a program where they have their police foundations, but then they have a third year where these are their elite students. They're basically like free agents that any service is chomping at the bit to get. A lot of them are from Southern Ontario. And to attract them here, I know Sergeant McFarland was talking, they're like, well, we want to work in Southern Ontario. So I think if we say, hey, listen, come up, do an interview with us, do a fitness test, but we're going to pay your hotel, we're going to pay your food. It's not going to cost you a dime. At least that gets them to our community and might give us a shot at landing those kind of applicants.
So to give you the feel for recruiting, years ago, when an officer applied for a position, let's say in a larger GTA force, there was 800 applicants for one position, 800 to 1. Today, our applicants in this service are how many people to one position?
Yeah, so the best example I had is we had an intake where we sent 8 officers. That was 20 applicants. Right, so.
So you can see, and on top of it, the market for policing applicants is extremely aggressive. Where you have large services offering, you know, a lot of potential, both in quality of life and remuneration. And what we're trying to do is, once they see this community, I think they're going to be absolutely impressed with the quality of life, the people, and the future. And so these are just small incentives to move us forward.
At this point, I think we'll ask for questions or comments from the board, and certainly thank you for the presentation. The video is awesome, and you know what, I think it's going to help in attracting people as well. And let's go, any comments?
Yeah, I would just say the video was fantastic.
Thank you.
That's been first.
Oh, well. Sorry, yeah.
Good job.
It was, and
Everybody was involved.
And Chelsea, just to throw her bone too, she had a huge take in this when, you know, we were doing the video and trying to get that representation. She brought that different flair, different eye, a bit of a feminine perspective to it. So that really helped as well.
No, it was an excellent video, and unfortunately, we have to provide some type of incentives for them to apply, and if that's what it takes, well, that's what it takes.
Thank you.
I think cost-wise, it won't be a huge cost to the police, so it's fine. Thanks.
Sure. And if I could just give, as far as out of town applicants, like as far as experience, we haven't had any, so it's not, you're gonna have 10 experienced officers, we get an average, if I maybe one a year, and I think this year we haven't had any, so it's not gonna open up there would be a big floodgate of 20 people who are dishing out a lot of money. It's just hopefully that one person who's on the edge that we can get them here.
And just so you understand, the amount of cost it takes to have an experienced officer is well over $500,000 in terms of salary, courses, et cetera. So we're very fortunate to have members from other services that want to come home, and I will make the pitch, seeing that this is an open, Brian, that anybody that has family and friends that are in another service and want to come back to the Sioux to be with family and whatnot, here's a great opportunity to take advantage of that.
Sunny? Thanks. How many do you need?
As far as experience or officers
Period.
overall?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we've been trying to do is each intake sending 3 to 4 officers. This is to keep up with attrition, sorry, chief.
So the attrition rate right now, we'll lose 15 this year. That could go, Sonny, and so the board always allowed me to hire at least half of that above the complement to make sure that if they do go, we can, within a year, it'll all work itself out. So, yeah, I mean, if we were 5 down right now, and it changes, as you know, we're 5 or 6 under, then we'll hire that 5 or 6 and we'll look to the attrition to the next year. There's a couple other factors that come into that. Number one is whether or not we even have OPC seats, because all services are in this issue. So we've been asking for 3 or 4 per intake. There's now 4 intakes a year. We've been fortunate, 4 in the last, we have 3 going down now, and we'll continue to work towards that. There might be some where we don't have any because we just don't have the applicant pool, which is why we've done this sort of variant approach to getting people here, get them into the pool, make sure we have the opportunities at OPC and cetera.
So if an officer went, I don't know what the cost is now, what's the cost per OPC, or is there a cost to the service for OPC?
It's paid now by the province.
Paid by the
province,
province,
not
yeah.
the
Other than what we're paying for the
I
salary.
was just gonna say, but there's a salary you're paying.
Right.
So what's the salary roughly for 3 months?
They're paying at a recruit constable wage, it's under 4th class, I don't know off the top of my head.
Probably pretty darn close to the 10 grand.
3 into 50.
Yeah, right, so,
Yeah.
so even if you paid 10,000 to bring someone here, you're paying less than sending someone to OPC.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, not even counting the rest of the thing.
A day of training or?
Yeah, not even talking about that, you're actually less, so if we were looking at, who we would want them to.
I have 2 points, Mr. Chairman.
Ian, hang on a second, Sonny wasn't finished.
No, it's okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
no,
sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
just 1 minute.
The volume's not that good from where I am, so I thought.
Okay, no
Go
problem.
ahead, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
apologize.
give me a second.
So if we were gonna concentrate efforts, this recruiting experience sounds like it's probably for the buck.
Absolutely.
At that $10,000, it's,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, Ian, go ahead, Ian.
Well, I have 1 question and I have 1 observation. Having spent 40 years in marketing in my professional career, while I was working, I can say that that video is excellent. It's very well done. I don't know who was responsible for the producing of it, but watching it very carefully, it was an excellent job. The question that I have is, I noticed in the presentation from our inspector regarding recruitment, etc. They mentioned Niagara College. How does like Sioux College stack up, and like how many individuals, do they have there, or how involved are we as the Sault Ste. Marie Police Services involved at Sioux College?
Yeah, good question. We're heavily involved with Sioux College. We actually have a partnership with them right now. We do a lot of our training there. I would say a high percentage of our hires come from Sioux College. To be honest, I know our last, whether it's specials or officers, we do get a lot there. So we do have a strong connection there. But obviously we want to, be ahead of the game, and that's what we're branching out to other colleges in the province as well. But we do have that strong connection with Sioux College.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Marcy?
Just another question regarding Sioux College. Have we tapped in at Lake Superior State College? Only reason why is they do have a course there, and I know some individuals have taken the courses there.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so Sergeant McFarlane, yes, he's been at Lake Superior State University, Algoma University. So yeah, everything in the area he's been on top of.
Okay,
And Chief, through to Angela, our budget's healthy with regard to this situation?
Absolutely.
I have to ask that question, only to cover it off. So we can propose a resolution now,
Yeah, I'll move it.
Sarah, can you formulate a?
Oh, what
Can I
you
point
were,
something from just a tax perspective? So just one of the incentives was reimbursing for moving expenses. If an individual moves to Sault Ste. Marie, they can deduct those expenses on their tax return. If we reimburse them for those expenses, then they cannot deduct them on their tax return. So I just want to make it clear that there was no double dipping there.
Yeah.
It's one or the other.
One or the other.
Yeah.
If you wanna form a resolution, it could be simply that the board supports the Sault Ste. Marie Police Services presentation of 4 items in terms of increasing the pool of applicants to the police service. Something like that.
Accepting this information.
No, I was thinking whether we do or not, wait for the next meeting, but again, if we all are in agreement, that's where I thought that we could make a resolution
I think
and give direction, so that.
I'd like that. I was more or less presenting as an information item.
Right.
But necessarily, I mean, we could have a member now that's thinking of coming from another service, and I'd hate to miss that. So really a month, unless there's other discussion. it's up to
Yeah,
you
no,
guys.
and
We can accept it. And
I'll so move.
then at our next meeting, we can have a resolution.
Yeah, that's fine.
okay, we'll accept it as information, and then the next meeting, we'll put it in as Marcia mentioned. Okay, good. I just wanted,
No.
sometimes if we let things go, they get kind of lost in the shuffle, and everybody's confused in what needs to happen and not happen, so that's why I just wanted to continue with that.
I guess the question would be, is the chief requesting direction from us on that, or? Or are we just accepting his information? and-
Technically, I think it's within my purview to do it either way, but I just wanted you to have that information.
Yeah,
and know.
okay.
Right,
So we're totally transparent with the community and
Absolutely.
also with the larger community out there that hears this presentation.
Right.
I think it's. we move to accept the
Okay,
information.
we'll move to accept the information
Let's present.
as presented. All in favor? Thank you, and thank you for the excellent work. And just one more point, those families out there, like the chief said, a lot of parents want to bring back their children who are working in Southern Ontario. That's a big draw for us, and you
Yeah.
know what, sometimes they don't know. And I think by spreading that message, that's a good source of recruiting as well. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Hey, chief, you're on communication reports, information only, starting with A, special accounts ledger.
You can see, on the board there, that's the board account ledger. Not a lot has changed. The auction account is at 27 and, with interest accruing, 2 cents. I think it's remained relatively, consistent from last presentation. Onto your overtime. So if we look at January and February, we can see that our overtime for January was 74,000, consistent with February of 74,000. January's overtime was a lot lower than this time last year at 110. This year is pretty consistent with last year's February, around 70,000. When we look at the 3-year monthly staff shortage overtime costs, you can see in January, we were at almost 15, but in February, we went down to 8, which is good news. If you want to go to the court time costing comparison, we are on projection of where we should be in terms of court costs. This time last, well, December 23, we were at 20,613 in that quarter, but you can see we're progressing along at the same rate of use of court time as we would be by this time in 2 months in. So nothing's changed there is the answer. For the stats, I'm going to take you to the year to date. It's going to be December 23, the entire year compared to December of 22. As you know, this isn't the final statistical representation of the year because data is still going in, but it's relatively close. So I thought I'd give you the full year comparator. So, under year to date, you can see we're 3.8% higher calls for service. Less reportable by 1%, but up almost 9% in non-reportable occurrences. Homicides went from 3 to 5. Robberies went from 66 to 72, or a 9.1 increase. However, assaults and sexual assaults went down 13 and 47% respectively. As I mentioned before, our IPV numbers, when you look at the 2 years, it was 1351 in 2022, and it went down to 1327 in 23. If you look at our crimes of property, we went down total from 668 in 22 to 513. That represents a 23% decrease in break and enters. When you go to theft of motor vehicles, this is really significant. We went from 162 in 22 to 88 in 23, and we're actually down 46% in stolen autos in this community. Attempts are down from 9 to 2. Theft overall is down 5.7% or 6%. However, shoplifting was up specifically 50%, went from 759 to 1137. Theft from motor vehicles is down 40%. That's where they break into your car and steal items. Mischief are relatively the same. Frauds are down 29% from 684 to 489. You go to the other area, motor vehicle collisions are down about 4%, which isn't that different. Impaired drivings are down 31% or 29 to 20. Bail violations are relatively constant. Mental Health Act arrests are down 14%.
It's just a question with that, and I know the numbers are showing that they are going down. However, the problem still exists, and maybe if you can still shed a little bit of light on the conditions in Sault Ste. Marie, because we're all concerned about those kinds of things and what's fueling the situation as well.
Okay, well, it's a multivariate response because there's not one thing really causing the fact that our break and enter totals and our thefts are going down by 23 and 46% shows a decline, but that doesn't mean that people don't feel the impacts of it. I think of the Downtown Association, I think of grabs and runs out of the properties, you know, run in, grab something, take off. I think about our confectionery stores. This is by no means a positive report card, because we as a community have to do more to protect people from theft. One of the issues about theft is it affects a lot more people than violent crime. And it causes people to have a sense of fear because they need to be able to protect their items. They have to be able to sell and conduct commerce. And I know there's a number of agencies in the downtown core that have mentioned to me, you know, Chief, now we have to lock our doors. That is an incredible thing for a chief of police to have to hear. The causes of it, I know you've heard me say it many times, policing will not solve the ills of mental health and long-term drug addiction. We can certainly do our best to mitigate the amount of victimization in a community, but the core issue is all levels of government have to address long-term mental health and drug addiction. And if we do that, we will continue, we'll slowly pull ourselves out of this issue of property theft. Because most of this property theft is usually to sell, to get high, and or just to exist. So we collectively need to do more, but I'm going to bring you to an option that, you know, we're doing as a police service. We're looking to have a downtown police presence that's much greater than we have now. You, the board, has given me additional officers for much more presence in the downtown core, whether that's the traffic unit or half the shift reports down at a new facility in the downtown core. So what I feel is that officers in the downtown core can interact with people who live there, including some of the homeless, including people that are a little down on their luck, and we can get them services before they go into crisis. I think, you know, the downtown ambassadors are another excellent opportunity to help reduce this amount of theft in our community, because it gets them services and prevents them from having to steal. So without going on too much longer, Mr. Chair, there's a lot of things we're trying to do. There's more things we can do, but we don't accept those numbers in any way as a positive. What do you get in school? Report card.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
On to use of force reports. You can see just from January and February, we went from 2 to 6. That's tripled, although the numbers in total are low, 2 to 10 in terms of reports. Amount of times we pointed a firearm went from 6 to 3, and the conducted energy weapon was used 3 times in February, none in January. The big news here is looking at how we relate from year to year. So the total number we have, January, February of 24 was 12. The total number we had in 23 was 23. So we're half the amount of use reports that we did in the previous year. If we go to our OIRPD complaints, and as you know, the Police Services Act will change as of April 1st in a few days, and it'll become the Community Policing Safety Act. And so there will be a whole new process, and we're gonna give you an opportunity to hear what that's about. But again, when we look at the total number of complaints, in 23, we had 16, we're down to 12 or 13 this month, which is relatively consistent. I'll let you take a look at the travel log. You can see there's different, for myself, OACP Board of Director meeting, we're on the Zone 1 representative for the North. Also on the Optic Board, which controls our CAD and our niche system with 46 different clients and a variety of other operational training for the rest of the organization. I'm gonna bring you to point number 11 now on the agenda, which is the fitness room equipment. And I'm gonna let Angela speak to that. If you're good with that, Angela, go ahead.
It's more for the board's awareness. Our fitness room, we have some equipment in it that's very old. It was originally purchased many years ago. The cost was split 50-50 between the board and the association. So we're looking to get rid of some of this equipment to create some space in the gym. It's outdated equipment. We want to make the gym more accessible for all of our members. So what we would like to do is put it on the auction. We feel that we could probably get the best value for that equipment by putting it on the auction. So I wanted to bring it to the board's attention because we would take the proceeds and it would be split again 50% between the board and the association. So I would have to write a check from the board's account in order to facilitate that. So it was just to bring it to the board's attention that potentially if you see a check from your account, that would just be 50% of the board's portion of the sale.
Any questions?
Yeah, is it possible to just use those funds to reinvest into the equipment? With obviously an agreement with the association.
We'd have to get the association to agree to that,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Is it all that, like, this needs to be replaced, or is it just excess?
It's,
Or maybe we don't
it's
know that.
been replaced, it's old equipment that's deemed probably not functional, like not
useful.
up to current standards for fitness equipment, yeah.
And do we need new pieces, or is it just get rid of them for?
Just get rid of them, replace, yeah.
Any questions? Ian, any questions?
No, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
I don't think so, but go ahead.
Okay. Can I have a mover then and a seconder? We could. Cause you can go ahead and do that.
Received as
Archie, okay? Okay, received as
For
information.
the financial portion, did you need a motion for it or?
I don't need a motion.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good. We'll receive this information. All in favor? Approved. Okay, and number 12, this is something that we discussed last time, and it deals with indemnification. We discussed it at the last meeting. So we just want to move her in a seconder to complete this, this is Marchie, and seconded by Sunny. Resolved that the board, make amendments to bylaw 2004-01. All in favor? Approved. Okay, board online learning. I'm just going to kind of start this. I'll ask Tom if he has any plugs he wants to plug in here, and it's regarding mandatory training. If I can, with the new act, board members are required to take some board training. So I'll let, maybe Tom, do you want to speak to this a little bit, or plug it, or whichever way you wish to handle it?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. The coming into force of the Community Safety and Policing Act on April 1st creates a duty for board members to be trained in order to continue on exercising your duties of office. The training is, I'm told, available now. You should be receiving, assuming the college has been informed on the appropriate membership and contact information. You should have received a form of some kind to send into the college. You should each be receiving an email directly from the college. Their remote training group is managing it. And I would recommend you complete it as soon as possible, because if it's not completed prior to April 1st, then at that point, well, the act comes into force, and you'll be prohibited from exercising your duties of office until you do complete it.
Okay, thank you. And I've had discussions with Sarah, and Sarah is going to has been starting to line all of this information up so that we can probably have the training here at the station if we wish, or we can do it individually as we wish as well. So all of those things are in place, but we just wanted to inform everybody that that must take place, and as soon as possible is the mandate that been given to us. So thank you, Tom, for expressing that. Sarah, did you want to add
No,
anything
just
there?
I'll be completing your registration, so then you'll get your information. And if anybody wants to come here to do the training module, I'll make sure that you're set up in order to do that and have everything you need for it.
Any questions by anybody?
Mr. Chair, Mr.
Yes.
Chair, I already
Yes.
undertook the training. I did it from here, and I did it by Zoom.
So Ian, I believe this is different from
That's
what
same.
you already attended. This
That's
is a separate thing. This is a new
All right.
separate thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep you informed. Good. Sunny, any questions? Okay.
It's gotta be done by
Marcy.
April 1st.
You're good?
That's Monday.
So the information that, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, there was information that I thought there was a bit of a grace period to complete it. Like, do they can, as long as it's done before our next board meeting?
Well, there is no grace period. Come April 1st, if the training hasn't been completed and there some type of requirement for the board to meet and exercise its powers and authorities emerges, and you have to hold an emergency meeting of some kind or an off-scheduled meeting, then the untrained members would be unable to do that. Or if you don't have a sufficient number of members to have quorum, then you can't hold that meeting. So you could look at, your next scheduled meeting as your drop dead deadline, but you pose the risk of running into having to hold a meeting prior to that.
I think, Tom, I think we'll encourage all of our members to do it between now and next week, as close to April 1st as possible. I think by doing that, we would have covered off on all of the conditions that are placed upon that. Sarah, is
I
that?
think that,
Yeah, good, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Any new business? Ian, any new business?
No, just that I won't be back in the Sioux until April the 4th. And my understanding in that 2-hour lecture that I took that Sarah says is different from the new curriculum that's going, that did mention all these deadlines. And it did say that you were supposed to get that information that I received. And well, I'll take it as soon as I get more information.
Okay. Thank you. Seeing no new business, the next meeting date is April 25th, 2024. Adjournment time is 2:01. Can I have a move to adjourn? Marchie, seconder, Sunny. Thank you. We'll take 5 or 10 minutes for the media to speak to the chief and the deputy. And then we will convene
No.
for the caucus.